thank the witnesses that have been through a rather long day here with many of us on this committee and certainly many of you. I am, Mr. Chairman, a bit perplexed. I've listened early on to the opening statements, and I'm trying to find a connection back to what the original sin was, how we got to where we are, what caused it, what brought it about. And I've heard talk of bathroom sharing and the showing of genitals and a disputed definition of Title VII. Title VII is what it is, what it is, what it is. And as we heard earlier, its birth came out of the Civil Rights Act. That's how it was conceived. So I think it's important for the committee to understand that too often we hold fast to the conclusions of others. We tend to subject all facts to a prefabricated set of interpretations. We enjoy the comfort of opinion without the discomfort of thought. But we stay away in this hearing, at least, from the original sin. And I don't know how that's possible, considering how we got to where we are. And for a race of people who have suffered, endured, and survived 100 years of Jim Crow, 200 years of slavery, oppression, deprivation, degradation, denial, and disprivilege. That's the original sin. And in an era of smaller vision, rampant apathy, and celebrated mediocrity, we do need people who will stand up and speak out for that and fight back against that which is wrong. It's just amazing how we've distorted how we got to where we are, because we didn't just fall out of the heavens this way. You know, the American birth, the American conception, was a conception that brought with it a number of things. The slaughter of Native Americans, the enslavement of what was then the Negro, and the annexation of the Hispanic. We've got a lot to bear in terms of the original sin. So as we seek to correct it today, it's funny that the wolf has put on sheep's clothing and has come to tell us that we are all wrong. One thing is for sure, we're not going back to the way it was. Not ever, ever again. And I want to commend Ms. Wiley, the Leadership Conference on Civil Rights. You know, in my decade as president of the National NAACP, I had an opportunity to work with many of your predecessors. I've seen this fight go on for a long, long time. And I recognize that you've had the least amount of time today because you're one person versus three others who've had an opportunity to be called on a number of times. So, Mr. Chairman, I'm going to relinquish my remaining time to Ms. Wiley, that she may have some closing comments, questions, or suggestions for this committee. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Congressman Mfume, and for all your years of leadership and commitment to civil rights. I want to bring something into the room that is a direct example of why this is an ideological attack. Because we're seeing, as a result of a Supreme Court opinion on admissions in higher education, a lawsuit in San Francisco against a city program that is trying to ensure that Black babies and Pacific Islander babies live beyond the first year of life because the infant mortality rates for them are 11% and 13% higher than they are for white babies. And we don't want any baby to die before the age of 1. We want everyone to be able, of all races, to be able to make it to maturity and make their own decisions and live their own lives. And yet, we are seeing a legal attack based on the Civil War Amendment, the 14th Amendment, because of a higher education admissions case that is now weaponized against trying to ensure survival of babies. That is not about higher education admissions, and yet that's how we're seeing the opinion being weaponized. And the same way we have heard complaints about the EEOC taking a logical extension of a Supreme Court case. We're not hearing that on the other side about how a diversity case on higher education is being weaponized against rights.
For your work in this area over many, many years. Mr. Chairman, I yield back.